authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation, the sum of 54 trillion.
National Assembly passes 2025 appropriation bill of 54.9 trillion naira. World Radio Day. Minister of Information and National Orientation urges radio stations to create awareness on the impact of climate change in Nigeria.
This will guarantee ease of dispatch, quality control, cold chain maintenance.
Nigeria inaugurates animal vaccine cold room storage system. Hello and a warm welcome to NTA Network News. I am Jummai, Yusuf. Benny Adams will bring us update from the world of business, while Francisca Bella brings us up to speed with happenings in the world of sports. Meanwhile, our survey tonight seeks to know how you are aware of the third-party insurance package. Because our stakeholders seek full compliance, let me ask you a question. Are you really conversant with the scheme, or averagely or not familiar with it at all? You can tell us all as you join the conversation by scanning the barcode on your screen to share your level of awareness. I remember the survey is continuous. Now let's begin with the National Assembly, as the Senate and House of Representatives have passed the 2025 appropriations bill budget totaling 54.9 trillion naira. The amount indicates an increase of more than 700 billion naira on the earlier submitted figure of 54.2 trillion naira. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali tells us more.
Bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation,
the total sum of 54 trillion 990 billion.
A breakdown of the 2025 budget of restoration, securing peace and building prosperity shows capital expenditure put at 23.9 trillion naira, while recurrent has 13 trillion naira, and debt servicing is to go up 14.3 trillion naira, among others.
I hope that this appropriation bill will contribute to moving Nigeria forward and will assist Mr. President in his renewed hope agenda to renew the hope of Nigerians in all facets of life, from infrastructure to security and to provision of even respect for this country from the international community.
The Joint Committee on Appropriations, while presenting the report on the 2025 budget for consideration, explained that President Tinubu had, following the suspension of aid by the U.S. government, provided $200 million to fill the funding gap.
The President took proactive measure and made a new provision of $200 million, which is equivalent to about 300 billion naira in the service-wide vote, to fill the gap created by the United States government, suspension of the intervention to the global health sector.
And also we have some genuine requests from some agencies like INEC, NFIU, DSS and other stuff. So that's what to make it 700 billion additional.
President Tinubu presented the 2025 budget to a joint session on the 18th of December 2024. Senate had in the meantime commended the federal government for road projects and urged the inclusion of the Northeast Zone in the Renewed Hope Superhighway project, sequel to a motion from Senator Jummai.
The Northeast is also the only zone in this country that's not connected to Mr. President's superhighway project embarked upon by this administration.
Senate calls on government to rehabilitate all roads across the country. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And to shed more light on the appropriation budget questions, we have questions for Professor Owaleke on the passage of the 2025 bill. He's a professor of capital market, Nasarawa State University. Professor, you have the reports from our correspondent at the National Assembly, and I'm sure you're conversant with the budget and the increase. So now that the budget has been passed, 54.9 trillion naira, what is your opinion about it?
Well, it's an expansionary one. we have an increase of about 5.3 trillion compared to what was submitted initially, 49.7. Not much is out there in terms of the breakdown, but going by what the president, had in the letter he sent to the National Assembly, part of the money will be used to recapitalize the Bank of Industry, the Bank of Agriculture, and also channel some to the solid mineral sector and infrastructure. I think that's the way to go, to put money on infrastructure. And if you also look at the major highlights, okay, if you compare that with what we have in the original submission, you would also notice that the capital component jumped from by as much as 10 trillion naira. Okay, the capital component in the original submission, which you also find in the Budget Office website, was just about 14 trillion, 14.8 trillion. So now we have 24 trillion, as capital component. Okay, so that's close to 10 trillion. You also notice that the other items were reduced. Talking about even the debt service. Debt service was reduced from 16 trillion to 14 trillion. Statutory transfer also got reduced from 14 to about 13. You also have even the recurrent non-debt, also reduced. So I think what we have now on paper, okay, appears better than the original submission because more emphasis is on the capital. But again, it's important, I said on paper, it's important to emphasize that the implementation of this capital component is what is critical, because at the end of the day, it is what will, translate to development, and also what will impact the common man.
Okay, talk to us about the impact.
Yes, the impact will be felt, as I said, from the capital side. Okay, I started by saying it's expansionary in the sense that we have even a deficit of over 13 trillion. Now, if we are not careful with the way we spend this money, it's going to impact inflation. Okay, inflation today, is elevated at over 34%. Even with the rebasing that we're expecting to have, inflation will still be, relatively, high. So if we're not careful with the way we spend, if we're not careful with the way we borrow, okay, we are also likely to see higher inflation rates. We're also likely to see pressure on the exchange rate. So that's why it's important that the application of this, this money, should be geared towards the capital component. And even when we talk about the capital component, it's not every item you find there that should enjoy priority. It's important we prioritize this capital component to ensure that the ones we focus on, are the redevelopmental ones. Okay, where items like purchase of cars, for example, which also come under capital component, shouldn't be given priority. So when we have scarce funds, okay, and we are prioritizing, it is developmental parts that we should prioritize. Well, the interesting thing again is that the assumptions, the benchmarks, were not altered. We are still using a $75 per barrel. We are still using the 1,500 naira, exchange rate.
That is the part of the 2024 budget that is still running?
No, the 2025 benchmarks, they're still there. So what I'm saying is these benchmarks are still there. Okay, but of course we know in terms of the oil revenues, okay, that is still subject to the vagaries of the international oil markets. We still don't know what is likely to happen with Trump now, Trump, especially against the backdrop of Trump's policies. But the fact that the budget is leaning more on non-oil revenue, again, is a plus.
Okay, are we going to see inflation going up or going down? Because I remember in a conversation some time back, experts like you were saying the inflation rate might drop to 15%. Is there any possibility?
Yes, there is every likelihood that inflation rate will moderate. Whether it will get down to 15% is difficult to say, but it's likely going to moderate. By the way, I'm sure in any moment, we are likely to see a new inflation figure based on the rebased inflation. And again, that reminds me, this proposal now, okay, you'll find that the deficit to GDP is just 1.5%, okay, as opposed to close to 4% we saw in the original figure. So what that means is that it's possible they have even taken into cognizance the rebasing that we're expecting any moment now. So whether inflation will come down again, will depend on how we spend. But there's a very likelihood that inflation will moderate. It's important we put money on agriculture, okay, put money on infrastructure. It is by so doing that you can really drop inflation.
Indeed, Professor Uche Owaleke, the Professor of Capital Markets, Nasarawa State University. Thank you so much, as always, for your insight into monetary budgetary matters.
My pleasure.
It's a pleasure having you all the time. Thank you so much. Now let's talk security, as the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Ebetekun, has communicated Senate on the issue of missing firearms currently being investigated. In the letter read at plenary, Mr. Ebetekun urges the Senate to exercise discretion on such matters as they border on national security, suggesting that engagement on such matters must be done behind closed doors.
The reputational damage inflicted upon our country and its public institution is unimaginable. In the light of this, I respectfully implore the Senate leadership to intervene and to grant the police force sufficient time to conduct a thorough investigation into the alleged missing firearms from the armories as of December 2020. We appreciate the Senate Committee's probe into the alleged missing firearms, but urge the committee to conduct future hearings on sensitive security issues in camera so that the wrong impression will not be created in the minds of Nigerians and in the minds of the international community.
Now, in advancing artificial intelligence and digital transformation in Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has commended Google Chief Executive Officer Sundar Pichai. President Tinubu met the Google team in Paris on Wednesday in company of Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani. The Google team engaged in constructive discussions with President Tinubu at forging a strategic partnership to enhance Nigeria's journey towards artificial intelligence and digital transformation. The collaboration seeks to position Nigeria as a prominent technology and innovation hub, leveraging AI, cloud computing and digital infrastructure to foster economic growth and enhance global competitiveness. The conversations focuses on key initiatives such as expanding digital infrastructure in Nigeria, equipping the workforce with essential digital skills for the future, promoting AI-driven research and innovation, encouraging greater cloud adoption across various industries, and establishing Nigeria as a key player in the global digital economy. President Tinubu emphasizes that the partnership aligns seamlessly with his administration's renewed hope agenda, centered on economic diversification through industrialization, technology, and innovation. Google CEO Sundar Pichai reaffirms the company's commitment to supporting Nigeria's digital transformation, stating, and I quote, "Nigeria has an incredible opportunity to lead in AI and digital innovation in Africa, and Google is excited to continue working with the Nigerian government to create an ecosystem that fosters innovation and economic growth." Meanwhile, federal government has reaffirmed commitment to welfare of members of the organized labor, especially in economic policies and wage reforms. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this during a meeting with a delegation led by the Director General of the International Labour Organization, Gilbert Hogbo, at the presidential villa. State House correspondent Abdul Rahman Jubrila tells us more.
At the meeting, Vice President Kashim Shettima lauded what he described as Nigeria's vibrant labor movement and its role in national development led by a competent and patriotic Nigerians. The Vice President noted the global workforce transformation and Nigeria's potential to bridge talent gaps, citing the country's youthful population as a major advantage expressing confidence in the country's future workforce.
We may be a different policy, but essentially we are all serving the same cause, the cause of the Nigerian people. So be rest assured that the President is very passionate about the Nigerian labor movement. And we have raised the minimum wage, and most states of the Federation have already started implementing the new minimum wage because we are a federation. There are states that even jack up the rate higher than the 70,000 that we agreed upon.
The Director General noted that his visit to the country was long overdue, particularly given the strategic importance of Nigeria in the ILO, including the period between June 2023 and June 2024, when it presided over the affairs of the ILO Board of Directors.
The importance for all of us to really revive the NLAC, which is a platform, a forum to keep the dialogue, to keep the social dialogue amongst the tripartite constituents going on. And we believe, given the dynamism of the labor market in Nigeria, its population, its ambition, and its role in Africa, having a NLAC revived will really be beneficial.
He appealed to the federal government to speed up the finalization of the reform of the labor code, even as he sought the support of the Vice President for the revival of the Nigeria Labour Advisory Council, a forum for social dialogue amongst the tripartite constituents. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
Still on the ILO, lasting peace can only be achieved through social justice. Hence the need for social dialogue that drives transformation. This was the position of panelists at the Global Coalition for Social Justice in Abuja. Frama Pani has more.
The meeting, at the instance of International Labour Organization, has in attendance labour movements and other concerned authorities agreed that for any nation to develop, there must be social justice in the workforce. The DGILO, while highlighting some of the issues faced by labour, is hopeful that surmounting these challenges is possible.
The market forces alone cannot define the future of work. It must be shaped through structured dialogue to ensure fair wages, to ensure labor rights, to ensure social security.
It's good to make the macroeconomic environment more conducive for growth, for economic prosperity. But before you get there, you need to give a human face to the reform.
The sanctity of collective agreement, which whether ILO or global organizations, is that agreements must be respected. When agreement is reached between government and labor, the minimum wage that was mentioned here, as at today, most organizations, most corporations have not implemented.
Government is putting every effort into promoting equal opportunities for all Nigerians.
Saddled with the mandate of promoting social and economic justice through international labor standards, address social injustice in the work environment for the labor force globally, the International Labour Organization has highlighted important issues allegedly impeding social justice in the labor force. In Abuja, Frama Pani, NTA News.
Let's bring you up to speed with other news. As the world commemorates Radio Day, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has urged all radio stations in Nigeria to use their platforms to create awareness about climate change and its impact on the country through informative and educational programs. The minister believes radio, like other critical media, can equip communities with knowledge and skills to adapt to the changing climate and mitigate its effect. He urges radio stations to collaborate with other organizations and experts in the field of climate change to provide accurate and reliable information to listeners through interviews with scientists, environmentalists, and policymakers to enhance understanding of the issue and work towards finding sustainable solutions in line with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. As Nigeria joins the world to celebrate the role of radio in fighting climate change, the minister says it is imperative for citizens to remember that effects of climate change issues are beyond borders and are felt globally. He therefore appeals to Nigerians to join hands with other nations to find solutions and create a better future for generations to come. The news will continue in a moment. Don't go away.
Huba Chiefdom Council cordially requests the honor of your presence at the official coronation and presentation of staff of office to His Royal Majesty Tol Alheri Bulus Nyako by His Excellency Right Honorable Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri, CON.
You're welcome back. The Director General, Department of State Services, Oluwatosin Ajayi, is advocating some level of armament for communities to be able to form the first line of defense against insecurity. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that the Director General stated this at a lecture organized by the Alumni Association of National Institute for Security Studies.
Security, intelligence officers, and relevant stakeholders brainstorming on the nation's security challenges with a view to developing actionable solutions through collaborative efforts.
We all are in it together. We all want a better country. We all appreciate the fact that, of course, a lot is on us. If this country is going to work, we have to do a lot of work. We in the security sector.
The challenges we face are multifaceted and demand a holistic approach. As security professionals, we must continually adapt to these dynamics, leveraging technology, intelligence, and partnership to stay ahead of our adversaries.
To the Director General, Department of State Services, a whole of society approach is critical to combating security threats.
What we have to start experimenting is how we can make the community to prepare first if the first line of defense for it. We have to allow some level of armament for the communities, and they can serve as the first line of defense.
We need to encourage the governors to allow the 774 local governments to function. If they function, problems emanating from them could be resolved quickly without getting to the state level.
Stakeholders must continue to work assiduously to keep the flag flying in defense of our humanity and our nation.
The lecture focuses on mobilizing stakeholders to curb insecurity. The platform enjoined Nigerians to see the ongoing drive to secure the nation as a collective responsibility. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Now let's bring you up to speed with other news. To strengthen Nigeria's animal health infrastructure and service delivery, a world-class 40 million doses capacity solar-powered National Strategic Vaccine Cold Room Storage has been inaugurated in Gwagwalada Area Council. Yusuf Jika reports that the Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Mahe, performed the ceremony initiated by Livestock Productivity Resilience Support Project.
The 40 million doses cold chain room facility, designed with a cutting-edge solar-powered system, has an average temperature ranging from -10 and +8 degrees Celsius to ensure that the transboundary animal diseases are promptly treated.
This will guarantee ease of dispatch, quality control, cold chain maintenance, tracking, as well as a repository for emergency risk-based vaccination.
It is the intention of this administration to ensure the full commercialization of National Veterinary Research Institute in Jos, so that we can build up the institutional capacity to supply annually about 1.2 billion vaccines across the range.
This is just one of the major steps we must take to fully realize a resilient, commercially viable and sustainable livestock industry.
Another 8 cold chain room storage are under construction at different locations in the country to further complement the efforts of ensuring end-to-end vaccine value chain. In Sheda, Wagwalada Area Council, Abuja, Yusuf Jika, NTA.
Aquarian Consult Limited is set to revolutionize cross-regional trade with the first ever Africa-Caribbean Investment Summit 2025 in Abuja. The 4-day event aims to strengthen Africa-Caribbean trade relations by providing a platform for high-level dialogue, strategic networking and impactful partnerships among policymakers, investors and business leaders. Ayodiji Makinde tells us more.
The summit is built on 3 key objectives. This initiative aligns with Aquarian Consult's commitment to driving industry growth and supporting sustainable development in the global digital economy. With over 16 years of expertise in strategy development, business advisory, project management and capacity building, Aquarian Consult has earned a solid reputation in the industry. AACIS 2025, organized in collaboration with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, is expected to unlock new investment frontiers and enhance trade relations between the 2 regions.
There will be opportunity for a lot of networking. We have put together a very good agenda. We've put together where there will be exhibition stands for people to come and showcase their businesses. So as an entrepreneur in Nigeria, you have your business you're running, even if it's making bags, making shoes, you have an opportunity to come get a booth there and display.
The idea is to bring, both policy makers from the St. Kitts and Nigeria in the same room, and they can have a discourse on how to facilitate ease of doing business and investment.
A key highlight of the event is the participation of Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Terence Drew, as keynote speaker. The summit will also feature high-level plenary sessions focusing on technology, agriculture, manufacturing, and finance, creating opportunities for economic collaboration and bilateral trade expansion between Africa and the Caribbean.
Let's shift our attention to the health sector as the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, says Nigeria is leading by example in health sector investment and reform as it expands primary health care and improves national health insurance coverage with more than 18 million Nigerians. Coordinating Minister notes that the policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who serves as the African's Union's champion for health, has enabled the expansion of health workforce quotas for training nurses, pharmacists, medical students, laboratory scientists to increase from 20,000 to 64,000. Federal government, he says, is also set to increase the retirement age for skilled health professionals from 60 to 65 years of age. Professor Pate, while representing President Bola Tinubu at the African Union's Ministerial Executive Conference in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, states that 12 million Nigerian girls have been immunized against HPV over the past 12 months, despite significant changes in global health financing that Nigeria is now using as a platform for innovative adoption and growth.
The front end to the midpoint, the secondary facilities and the high-level facilities, we see it as a whole system that had to be reimagined with referral system, linking with emergency services for those who need it, the ambulance scheme that we are expanding. Beyond financing, we also looked at the human resources side.
President Bola Tinubu congratulates Bishop Wale Oke on his re-election as the national president of the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, PFN. The Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria re-elected him at the 18th Biennial National Conference in Abuja. President Tinubu also congratulates the Christian faithful and commends Bishop Oke for his consistent effort in promoting religious harmony and national renaissance, as demonstrated in his Nigeria Turning Point prayer movement. He prays for the bishop's fresh anointing as he continues his leadership role in the Lord's vineyard. The second African Union of Broadcasters Summit, AUB, begins in Dakar, Senegal, with focus on radio as a powerful tool for climate action. Charles Alpha reports that the conference organized by AUB in partnership with the UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction and Senegalese-owned radio and television has climate change reporters from across Africa in attendance.
Of catching up, exchange of pleasantries and ideas. But when the moment for frantic climate talks began, everyone here knew it was time for business. Reaching the last mile, Radio for Climate Action, resonating deeply with the summit's core focus, with the World Radio Day providing the perfect backdrop for the gathering. Inside the conference hall, a diverse tapestry of voices buzzed with anticipation. Journalists, their pens poised and recorders ready, their faces edged with urgency of the climate crisis. Stories of vanishing ecosystems and their minds wrestling with the complexities of crafting effective solutions. While more than 900 journalists have been empowered by AUB on effective climate change reportage across Africa, ministers of environment and information from across Africa weighed in the proceedings, underscoring the importance of coordinating action to empower communities at the grassroots with crucial climate information delivered through the trusted medium of radio.
This is a subject which has a direct impact on our environment.
Need to engage media in disaster risk reduction effort.
I think we forget that radio, as a so-called traditional media, still has a major role to play.
AUB is committed to continuously building capacity for the media, to help the media do its job in mobilizing citizens to take positive action.
This AUB summit under the theme Reaching the Last Miles, Radio for Climate Action seeks to explore means to strengthen the use of radio as a veritable tool for awareness creation in Dakar, Senegal. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
There's more news after the break.
TerraCube, unwrap joy, unleash taste.
Good morning. Good morning. Why is your sun shining like this?
Can't you see that Harmattan season is here? We need to protect our children from this dry weather.
What about the invisible germs?
Invisible germs?
During Harmattan, it's not enough to only protect your skin. You also need protection from these invisible germs. To protect our families, we use Dettol.
Harmattan season brings a lot of germs, but Dettol with Germ Defense gives protection from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Be Dettol sure.
You're watching NTA Network News, and Benny Adams is standing by with the latest from the world of business. Benny?
Thank you, Jummai. And talking business, the Accountant General of the Federation, Dr. Oluwatoyin Madeyin, is asking federal pay officers to entrench transparency, dedication and professionalism in the conduct of their official duties. This was at a walking visit to the Federal Pay Office in Benin, where the Accountant General of the Federation urged the federal pay officers to monitor and ensure that ministries, departments and agencies in the states do not operate any account with the commercial banks or circumvent any provision of the Treasury single account policy. She explained that due approval must be given by the President and communicated by the Accountant General of the Federation based on certain rules and guidelines before ministries, departments and agencies can operate any account with commercial banks. The AGF reiterated the need for the federal pay officers to always maintain correct, presentable and acceptable records in line with approved standards. Madeyin also emphasized that the federal government will continue to give utmost priority to the welfare and well-being of staff in the federal pay offices. Looking at the markets, Nigerian and Tunisian stocks sustain upward momentum, talking about positive gains, with the Nigerian oil share index up 1.25%, and this was as investors gained 842.1 billion naira. You can see Nigeria is on the positive as well as Tunisia. The shares for Nigeria appreciated by 1.25 percentage points. That of Tunisia, Tune Index, is 0.49%, while for South Africa, it was a negative turn of 0.09%. This is it and business. Jummai, you can take it from here.
Thank you, Benny. We're going for another break. When we return, sports update will be coming your way. Don't go away.
Didn't know today would be our last.
It is with profound gratitude to the will of God that the Plateau State Government announces the passing on to glory of our beloved elder statesman, Lieutenant General Dr. Senator Jeremiah Timbutu Saini, Sardaunan Plateau and Nasarawa States, who departed this life on Thursday, 23rd January 2025, at the ripe age of 82. The burial ceremony will take place as follows. Service of tributes at the National Christian Center, Abuja. Date, Saturday, 15th February 2025 at 4 p.m. prompt. Service of songs at Cooking Headquarters Church, Jos. Date.
You're welcome back. Now, to promote inclusion for internally displaced persons through digital learning, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and IDPs has inaugurated a digital learning center in Durumi Camp in the Federal Capital Territory. Ruth Agwele reports.
It is a new dawn for displaced persons in this camp, a new strategy that will enhance self-development for the youths in Durumi Camp in the Federal Capital Territory. Musa Ibrahim is among the lucky ones who are engaged in digital skills. He just gained admission to study political science and international relations, and he is optimistic that these skills will aid effective learning for him as he pursues his dreams.
They've taught us how to define some parts of the computer, most especially Microsoft, OS, CPU, and the rest.
The center was born out of partnership between the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons with a non-governmental organization, with a goal to equip young displaced persons with digital skills to promote efficiency and for self-reliance.
I learned how to create folder, how to design table, and how to print.
Website design and graphic.
While inspecting the dilapidated state of the buildings used as learning center for the children, the Commission pledged to upgrade them to improve the learning environment for their children.
And to assure you that the National Commission and by extension the federal government are with you and they are always ready to fend for your problems. And we'll continue to do that because it is our mandate to make sure we provide protection, provide care, and to also provide support.
Already, plans are on the way to relocate some of the displaced persons who have been profiled to a resettlement city in Kefi, Nasarawa State, with sponsorship for higher education for 10 students. In Abuja, Ruth Aguwele, NTA News.
Time now for sports update, and Francisca is standing by. Hello, Francisca. What's happening in sports?
Thank you, Jummai. More than 400 golfers from 5 African countries are set to battle it out for top honors at the 2025 IBB Ladies Open Championship at the IBB International Golf and Country Club, Abuja. The tournament, which ends Sunday, was ceremonially teed off Thursday by the Minister of Women's Affairs, Hajiya Iman Suleiman Ibrahim. Players, including guests, will compete in the ladies, gentlemen and veterans categories, with the professionals not left out.
First of all, I'd like to welcome them to Abuja. We have many countries coming to play in this particular competition, and I would like to assure Abuja that they're going to be wowed, because when women play, they play for excellence. So I'm sure we should be able to see one of the best competitions. And Abuja is my city, so I'd like for it to be the best outing.
This event is not just a celebration of the game we all love, but a testament to the commitment, resilience and sportsmanship that defines the game of golf.
To football, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria have been drawn in Group B along side Morocco, South Africa and Egypt ahead of the 2025 Under-20 African Tournament in Côte d'Ivoire. The hosts are in Group A with Ghana, DR Congo, Tanzania and UNICAF 2 qualifier. In Group C are Senegal, Zambia, Kenya and Sierra Leone. The tournament's semi-finalists will secure a place to represent Africa at the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile. Away from Nigeria, 4 matches are currently ongoing in the UEFA Europa League playoffs, with 4 concluded already. Fenerbahce were in no mood for play as the handed Anderlecht. Ferencvaros beat Victoria Plzeň 1-0. Real Sociedad won 2-1 away to Midtjylland, just as Ajax ran out 2-0 winners against Union SG. But that's the size of our package. It's back to Jummai.
Thank you, Francisca. And the family of Dr. Godfrey Bawa of Kwa Kingdom, the executive chairman of the Duncan Group of Companies, have announced the death of Dr. Godfrey Bawa, who died on Sunday, the 2nd day of February 2025 in Abuja. A statement from the family says he was a notable philanthropist and is survived by his wife, Bishop Tina Bawa, children, grandchildren and siblings. Burial arrangements will be announced by the family in due course. The body of former Zonal Director, NTA Benin Network Center, ace presenter and veteran news reporter Phil Obano has found her final resting place. Family members and friends, including the NTA family, led by the Zonal Director, joined the procession to bid her good night as she sleeps on. Anwuli Okolo has the report.
At the St. Joseph's Catholic Church, Benin, family members, friends and broadcast industry are seated for the commendation mass to pray for the repose of the soul of Phil Obano, who died at the age of 58. In his sermon, Reverend Father Pascal Omono described Phil Obano as a prayerful, loving person who commits her plans to God. The remains were later taken to her final resting place and interred at her residence. Though saddened, her loss has been greatly felt by all who had direct contact with her.
My mother was always preparing herself for heaven without even knowing anything was going to happen.
As a mother, as a worker, as a person with her normal interpersonal relationships, everything 100.
I've got 4 sisters, so she sort of doubled up my brother. So far, sister, she was everything.
She was a very, very meticulous person and family-centered.
In Benin, Anwuli Okolo, NTA News.
The dust is clearing everywhere. Memories awaken. My feet on the runway. The dust is clearing everywhere. Memories awaken. My feet on the runway. The dust is clearing everywhere.
A rare gem who lit every room she entered with a welcoming smile and charm. Phil Obano, who retired after 35 years of service at the Nigerian Television Authority, recently passed on. Her exit painful, but her memory lives on. Here's a tribute to her life and times as compiled by Elizabeth Omori.
Born September 14, 1966, Phil Obano's life and distinguished professional broadcasting career characterized by dedication, passion, and an unwavering commitment to excellence. Even at the onset of her professional journey in 1989 as a continuity announcer in the programs department, Phil's exceptional skills and dexterity stood her out, earning her accolades. She rose through the ranks, soon switching over to becoming a trailblazer in the news directorate of the NTA. Her academic pursuits were equally impressive, with a first and master's degree in English and Literature from the University of Benin. Throughout her illustrious career, Phil demonstrated a remarkable ability to adapt and innovate. She was instrumental in producing and presenting several NTA flagship programs, including Talking Point, Youth Rendezvous, Junior Debate, and Weekend Delights. Her artistic prowess and creative vision inspired a new generation of broadcasters. As a quintessential newscaster, Phil was one of the pioneering presenters and producers of Good Morning Nigeria. Her leadership skills and administrative acumen earned her successive promotions, culminating in her last active appointment as Zonal Director, Benin Network Center. Phil's numerous awards and accolades are testament to her outstanding contributions to the broadcast industry. Her membership in the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations and participation in various professional and administrative training programs underscore her commitment to continuous learning and self-improvement. Phil's passing is a reminder that, like a dawn that follows night, our time on this earth is fleeting. Today, we honor her memory by celebrating her remarkable life, her unwavering dedication to her craft, and the profound impact she had on countless lives. Rest in peace, Aunt Phil.
Indeed, the NTA family mourns. I can't forget that radiant smile she usually has. Now, before we go, let's reveal the result of the poll for today, which seeks to know how familiar are you with the third-party insurance? Well, 48% say they have limited knowledge. 23% say they are very knowledgeable about it, and 14.5% say they barely have knowledge of third-party insurance, and another 14.5% say they have no knowledge at all on third-party insurance. We keep voting as the bill and the poll is still on. That's NTA Network News for tonight. Thanks so much for your time. I am Jummai, Yusuf.
All right.